of the science book. Okay, look at this slide. Unit 1 light, Unit 2 universe and space, Unit 3 polymer chemistry, Unit 4 chemistry in daily life, Unit 5 animals in daily life, Unit 6 visual communication. Okay, Unit 1, 2, Unit 3 and 4 are the physical science, Unit 5 is the biology, Unit 6 is the computer lesson. Let us enter the lesson. Today we are going to see Unit 1 light from physics. So what is the lesson name? Light. Light is the natural agent that stimulates sight and makes things visible. Okay, light makes things visible. Let us enter the topics. Topics to be discussed. First, we will see about introduction of this lesson. The second topic is sources of light. Then the third topic is properties of light. In properties of light, we will discuss only two topics: rectilinear propagation of light and reflection. Okay, introduction. Look at this picture, ma. It is the dark room. Okay, you enter into a dark room. Can you see everything? Can you visible everything? No. Okay, nothing is visible. You cannot see anything. Okay, nothing is visible. Then switch on the light. Everything in the room becomes visible. Okay, so what enables us to see things around us? What is the answer? Light. Okay, so light enables us to see things around us. Next one, how do we see things with our eyes? Okay, so what is the question? How do we see things with our eyes? The light falling on the objects is reflected, okay, and enters our eyes. Okay, so the light falling on the object is reflected and enters our eyes. We all know that light is essential for vision. We should take care of our eyes also. Yes or no? Okay. Then next one, light. Light is a type of energy that helps us to see all the things around us. Light can be detected by the human eye. So light is a type of energy. Light helps us to see all the things around us. Next one, we see about do you know. Light is the only source of energy for plants. So they entirely depend on light. Okay, plants entirely, fully depend on light. People and animals derive energy, get energy from carbohydrates, protein, fat through their food. Okay, so we get energy from our food. But plants produce food using the energy from sunlight, carbon dioxide and water by the process called as photosynthesis. Okay, so photosynthesis takes place only in the presence of sunlight. Okay, with the help of this process, plants produce their own food. So plants entirely depend on sunlight. Sunlight acts a vital role in the process of photosynthesis. Essential role. Sunlight acts a essential role in the process of photosynthesis. Okay, then next let us see the sources of light. Okay, objects which are able to emit light are known as light sources. Okay, objects which are able to emit means give out. Okay, emit means give out light. Okay, objects which are able to give out light are known as light sources. There are two types of sources of light. They are first one is natural sources of light, second one is artificial sources of light. Okay, so what are the two types of sources of light? Natural sources of light, artificial sources of light. First we see about natural sources of light. Sources which emit light naturally are known as natural sources of light. Okay, for example, sun and stars are natural sources of light. The sun is the primary and major source of natural light. Stars also produce light in the same way as the sun do. Okay, the moon provides light particularly in the night. Okay, so some living organisms have the ability to produce light named by bioluminescence. Okay, so some living organisms have the ability to produce light named by bioluminescence. For example, fireflies. Okay, மின்மினி பூச்சின்னு சொல்லுவோம் இல்லையா? Okay, it produces light naturally. Okay, fireflies, then jellyfish, glowworm, certain deep sea plants. Okay, and some microorganisms are the natural sources of light. Okay, next let us see about artificial sources of light. Apart from the natural sources of light, light can also be produced artificially. Okay, artificial sources are man-made light sources. Okay, artificial sources are man-made light sources. For example, candle, incandescent lamp, neon lamp, sodium lamp, etc. These artificial sources of light divided into two types. First one is incandescent sources. Second one is gas discharge sources. First we see about incandescent sources. When certain objects are heated to a high temperature, they begin to emit light. Okay, some objects are heated to a high temperature, then they begin to emit light, give out light. Okay, the glowing of hot iron rod is a kind of incandescent light. Okay, for example, candle, incandescent lamp. Okay, then next we see about gas discharge sources. Passing electricity through certain gases at a very low pressure can produce light. Okay, for example, neon lamp and sodium lamp. Okay, so in these lamp are filled with certain gases. We pass the electricity through these gases at a very low pressure. They can produce light. Okay, next let us see about, do you know, is the moon a luminous object? Okay, sun is the luminous object, star also luminous object. What is the meaning luminous? Shining. Okay, objects produce light on its own. Okay, that objects are called luminous object. Is the moon a luminous object? Let us see the answer. Okay, the moon provides light as well, but it cannot produce light by its own. Okay, moon provides light. Okay, but it cannot produce light by its own. The light emitted by the moon is the light of the sun reflected towards the earth. Okay, so the moon receives light from the sun, then it is that light reflected towards the earth. Okay, so moon is the non-luminous object. It cannot produce light on its own. Okay, when we see the moon, we see only the moon's lighted part. Thus, half of the moon is always facing the sun and receiving light from it. Hence, we receive light from the moon. Okay. Next, let us see about properties of light. First one, rectilinear propagation of light, reflection, speed, interaction of light with matter, types of material according to permeability, formation of shadows, plane mirror and images, spectrum. Okay, let us discuss the properties of light one by one. Okay, first topic is rectilinear propagation of light. Okay, light travels in straight line. It cannot bend the path itself. This is called as the rectilinear propagation of light. Okay, light always travels in straight line. It cannot bend the path itself. Okay, suppose any disturbance, any objects, the light fall on any object, the path will be changed. Otherwise, it cannot bend the path itself. This is called as the rectilinear propagation of light. For example, light penetration pass through the trees. Light travels through the holes in cement grills, then laser beam. Okay, these are the examples for the rectilinear propagation of light. Next one, let us see about pinhole camera. Pinhole camera is a simple device which helps us to understand about the rectilinear propagation of light. Okay, first I explain this picture. Look at this picture. It is the model of a pinhole camera. O is the small hole by a pin. Then XY is the object. Then Y dash and X dash is the image of XY. As light travels in straight line, one light ray. Okay, this is the one light ray from X travels along the XO, touch the screen X dash. Okay, in the similar way, another light ray starting from Y travels along YO, strikes the screen Y dash. Similarly, all the rays in between X and Y fall on the screen between Y dash and X dash. Thus, Y dash and X dash becomes the image of XY. The image produced is temporary if a symbol paper is used. The image can be made permanent if the paper is replaced by a photographic plate. Let us see about reflection. A still water body, like a pond, reflects the scenery around it. We see our face in the mirror. How? The light rays from our face falls on the mirror, then these rays bouncing off the surface of the mirror. So we see our images in the mirror. So we are able to see images in mirror and water because of reflection. Okay, reflection is the one of the important property of light. Okay, we see all things around us because of reflection. What is reflection of light? When light falls on a shiny surface, it bounces back. This phenomenon is called reflection. So what is reflection of light? When light falls on a shiny surface, it bounces back. This incident is called reflection. Terms used in reflection of light: incident ray, reflected ray, angle of incidence, angle of reflection, normal. These terms are used in reflection of light. Let us see about these terms one by one. First one, incident ray. The ray of light that falls on the surface of the reflection materials is the incident ray. Okay, so the ray of light falls on the reflection material is the incident ray. It is the incident ray. Okay, next one, reflected ray. The ray of light that comes from the point when the incident ray falls on the reflection material is the reflected ray. Okay, so it is the reflected ray, the ray of light that comes from the reflection material. Okay, the ray of light that comes from the reflection material is called reflected ray. Next one, let us see about point of incidence. Okay, point of incidence. The point of incidence, the point of which our incident ray strikes the reflecting surface is the point of incidence. Okay, so the incident ray touch the reflecting surface at the particular point. Okay, so this point is called point of incidence. Okay, then next we see about normal. The perpendicular line drawn from the point of incidence is called normal. The perpendicular line drawn from the point of incidence to the plane of reflecting surface is called normal. Okay, so this perpendicular line is called normal. It is drawn from the point of incidence. Next one, let us see about angle of incidence. The angle formed between the incident ray and the normal is angle of incidence. Okay, so see this picture ma. The angle formed between the incident ray and the normal is angle of incidence. It is denoted by the letter I. Next one, angle of reflection. The angle formed between the reflected ray and the normal is angle of reflection. Okay, so the angle between the reflected ray and the normal is angle of reflection. Next, let us see about laws of reflection. The first law is the angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. Okay, so the angle of I is equal to angle of R. Look at this picture ma. Suppose the angle of I is equal to 40 degree. What is angle of reflection? Angle of reflection also 40 degree. Okay, because according to the laws of reflection. Then next, the second law is the incident ray, the reflected ray and the normal at the point of incidence lie on the same plane. Okay, so incident ray, reflected ray, normal at the point of incidence lie on the same plane. It is the symbol for plane mirror ma. Now I show about reflection and the laws of reflection in this video. Okay, so the ray of light that falls on the reflection material is called incident ray. Then the ray of light that comes from the reflection material is called reflected ray. The incident ray strikes the reflecting surface at the point. That point is called point of incidence. The perpendicular line drawn from the point of incidence is called normal. Then the angle formed between the incident ray and the normal is called angle of incidence. It is denoted by letter I. Then the angle formed between the reflected ray and the normal is called angle of reflection. It is denoted by R. Next we see about laws of reflection. The first law is the angle of incidence is always equal to angle of reflection. Angle of I is equal to angle of law R. The second law is the incident ray, the reflected ray and the normal at the point of incidence lie on the same plane. Next we see about example sums. First sum, in the figure the incident ray makes 27 degree with the normal. Then find the angle of reflection. Okay, so this is the incident ray, this is the reflected ray, it is the normal. Okay, so the angle of incidence is I is 27 degree. We find the value of angle of reflection. Okay, so already we know very well, according to the laws of reflection, the angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. So the answer is angle of R is equal to 27 degree. 27 degree. Next one, example 2. The light ray strikes the reflective plane surface at an angle 43 degree with the plane surface. Okay, so the first question is find the angle of incidence. Second one, find the angle of reflection. Third one, find the angle between the incident and reflected ray. Fourth one, find the angle between the reflected ray and the plane surface. Okay, so we use this diagram to answer the questions. What is the first question, ma? Find the angle of incidence. Okay, we want to find the angle of incidence. It is the right angle. Okay, so the angle of right angle is 90 degree. Okay, so the angle of incidence I is equal to 90 minus 43. What is the answer? 47 degree. Okay, then so what is the second question? Find the angle of reflection. Okay, so according to laws of reflection, angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. Okay, so the angle of reflection R is equal to 47 degree. Then third one, find the angle between the incident and reflected ray. Okay, it is the incident ray, it is the reflected ray. We want to find the angle between them. Okay, so already you know very well, angle of I is equal to 47 degree, angle of R 47 degree. So add them, 47 plus 47, 94 degree. Then fourth one, find the angle between the reflected ray and the plane surface. Okay, so we want to find the value, find the x value. Okay, it is the right angle. Okay, so the value of the angle of right angle is 90 degree. So 90 minus R. Okay, R value is 47 degree. So 90 minus 47. What is the answer? 43 degree. X is equal to 43 degree. Okay, can you understand this summa? If you have any doubt, ask me. Okay. Next, recapitulation. In this video session, first we have seen about sources of light. Two types of sources of light: natural sources of light, artificial sources of light. Okay, sun, stars are the natural sources of light. Candle, neon bulb, sodium bulb are the artificial sources of light. Then artificial sources of light divided into two types: incandescent sources, gas discharge sources. Next we have seen about properties of light. In the properties of light, we have seen about rectilinear propagation of light. What is called rectilinear propagation of light? Light travels in straight line. It cannot bend the path itself. This is called as the rectilinear propagation of light. This is one of the most important property of light. Next we have seen about reflection. When light falls on a shiny surface, it bounces back. This phenomenon is called reflection. Then finally we have seen about laws of reflection. Okay, what is the first law of reflection? Angle of I is equal to angle of R. Second law is the incident ray, the reflected ray, normal, lie on the same plane. Okay, so thank you to all to watch this video. All of you must write the homework, send the photos to the group. Thank you to all.